Unit 1, Plant Science 1, Pollination and Fertilisation A01. The agents of natural pollination are diverse and can be broadly classified into two categories, biotic and abiotic. Biotic agents include pollinating animals such as bees, moths, flies and birds. The biotic agents are attracted to a flower due to such features as its colour, shape or aroma. The visitor to the flower then becomes a potential agent for pollination transfer, with the pollen from the male reproductive organ, known as the anther, dusted onto the animal's body. Should the animal then visit another flower of the same species, this pollen may then be inadvertently brushed onto the stigma, the female reproductive organ. Whether pollination successfully leads to fertilisation on the same flower or a different flower of the same species will depend on the species visited. Flower shape can be a determining factor as to which species are able to visit the flower. Some flowers have evolved to perfectly match specific animal species. Perhaps the most well-known example of this is the star orchid, which is pollinated by the long-tongued moth commonly known as Morgan's predicted sphinx moth. In 1862, Charles Darwin examined this orchid. Predicting, supported by Alfred Russel Wallace, that a long-tongued moth would be found that pollinated it. No moth with that extreme length of tongue was known at the time. Then, in 1903, he was proven correct, when a long-tongued moth, Xanthopan morganii predicta, was discovered. It was so named because its occurrence had been predicted. Abiotic agents include wind and water. Wind-pollinated plants produce large amounts of pollen that is light in weight and easily carried by the wind. Some examples of wind-pollinated plants in the UK include willow, alder and birch. Water-pollinated plants, on the other hand, release their pollen into the water where it is carried to the female reproductive organs. Some examples of water-pollinated plants in the UK include water thyme, ditch grasses and waterweeds.